Well, there have been extraordinary scenes in Berlin tonight as thousands of people gathered to hear Barack Obama deliver key foreign policy speech on his current European tour. Democratic presidential hopeful laid out his vision for America's place in the new world order, saying he was speaking as a proud citizen of the world, of the world, of the world.
It is a big idea. It is a big idea. A new world order.
Hello friends, I am the Anti-Terrorist. Thank you for all of your emails and your messages of support and for staying part of the conversation. Now, I've held off broadcasting on the events in the Gulf of Mexico over the past 2 months because, well, the story's not only developing by the hour, but has a multitude of facets of deception and ineptitude attached, so that it was difficult to form a big picture view of an event that will affect the world for generations yet to come. It really is the disaster that just keeps on giving. And first, I'd like to address a term that many people might not have heard before May of this year, the BOP. What is a BOP? Well, it's an acronym for a blowout preventer. Here's a BOP ready to do what it's supposed to do, preventing a blowout at the wellhead. And here's what happens when a BOP blows its top. And it was with the BOP that our story begins, or at least where we think it began. Several brave souls have stepped forward to report that ominous signs of leaking oil was occurring with regular frequency in the weeks leading up to the blowout of the Deepwater Horizon oil rig. There's also the rumor of Goldman Sachs shorting stocks by selling 44% of their holdings in BP before the accident. This story is still coming to light. Now, people tend to lose their lives with alarming frequency once they start following the money, so I'll hang back for now and watch this continue to unfold. Although I must admit, I did wonder if Larry Just Pull It Silverstein, in addition to owning the World Trade Center, may just have a piece of this pie too. And so far, well, I'll just keep watching. And so let's see what happened the day Pandora's BOP was opened. Now, this is how the Deepwater Horizon looks on a good day. This is how it looks when things aren't going so well. Now, between this and this, a cascade of events was set in motion that instantly killed rig workers and will force hundreds of millions of people to make life or death choices in the weeks and months and decades to come. And the first thing that happens with something of this magnitude is to immediately search for an entity to blame. Nailing the public face of this disaster has British Petroleum taking its place in the crosshairs of public finger-pointing, leading to an ever-escalating howl of hysteria against the Brits. Now, this is the cheap and easy way to feel immediate relief, and as usual, the powers that be are counting upon we the people to fall for it as we always do. It would serve you to realize that the names Halliburton, Transocean, the international banking cartel, Big Oil and the governments they control are intimately linked with this disaster as well. So the big BOP blew. Well, what happened next? People died. Some escaped. The initial response from the general public of the United States for the first week was a collective yawn. And then things really began to go viral. The crews made a top hat. They set the oil on fire. They aerial sprayed a toxic dispersant banned in most of the major countries in the world. And for good measure, they dumped it out of the boats as well. They made big piles of sand, then bigger piles of sand. And what did the people on land do? They gathered human hair. Then they went to the beach. As a last-ditch effort, they even got out the vacuum cleaner and an industrial-sized roll of paper towels to try and cope with the problem. Either that or pose for a photo op. Yeah, that's really going to make a dent. And so how much oil is pumping out? Lies. Nothing but lies, to cover up for the fact that no one really knows. All we are certain of is that it's a lot. That it's bigger than the biggest oil spill in the history of drilling, and that the people responsible have tapped into one of the largest deposits ever discovered. That really is what this is all about. Greed. They knew it was there, and they wanted it. The drillers went 1 mile below the surface of the ocean floor to get this deposit. Under the unimaginable pressures of the deep ocean, they hit a pressurized cache of crude oil and methane gas that blew the BOP. At first, we were told it was 6,000 barrels a day that were leaking. Actually, wait, let's get our terminology clear. A leak happens to the bathroom tap when it needs a new washer. A spill is what you do with a glass of milk. This is an oilcano erupting. It's a gusher. It's a geyser. So then we were told it's 20,000 barrels a day. No, it's 60,000. Then 100,000 barrels a day. The simple fact is, no one knows for certain. The dispersants cause the majority of the oil to sink to the bottom of the ocean, or clump in enormous 70-mile wide plumes, not only sitting there waiting to be lifted and dumped inland by the next hurricane, but also poisoning every bit of wildlife that dives for its food or swims through it. Now, in addition, while you've been sitting there watching this broadcast, untold tons of raw crude oil mixed with sand is currently scouring away the mile-long pipe to paper thinness, eventually wearing it away completely until all we're left with is a huge open wound in the Earth's crust that'll no longer be contained, but spewing forth poison for years and years. Now, this disaster is poisoning the air as well, since methane gas mixed with benzene and hydrogen sulfide are blasting out in amounts that are hundreds of thousands of times in excess of what humans can breathe, and still continue to work a remote control with any degree of competence. And now we hear Obama may take over BP in a fait accompli, a corporate takeover of the nastiest kind. The US may have wanted that drilling company, and may have blown up a rig, killed 11 workers and 100 million pelicans and turtles and dolphins, and billions of fish, ruined countless livelihoods, poisoned the ocean waters and air for generations to come, and in addition possibly instigated the largest diaspora in history, when people will be forced to relocate in order to save their lives. Effort can be expended in following this lead, but it isn't going to get the oil off the birds or out of the crabs, or return all that sugar-white sand. The corporations and the governments they have in their pockets may not have caused this disaster, but it's a sure bet they're using this disaster to benefit their own agenda. If the US government makes its move to take over BP, as I suspect they will, then they'll be holding the smoking gun. They're not only complicit, but they're the prime suspects. The corporations running the United States will obviously stop at nothing to get what they want. At the most, control. At the least, a bloody nose for the Brits for some arcane reason. And the way they're going about it is to set up BP as the straw man to take the bullet that should have hit Halliburton, the United States government, and the banks that control them. Meanwhile, don't be one of those Americans driving around taking pot shots at BP franchise Elvis impersonators. BP is only one tiny aspect of a much larger problem. BP is the shadow on the wall, not the source of the flame. Don't fall for it. Now remember, the people pushing the deliberate terrorist act angle have their agenda too, and it's most likely an agenda to sidetrack the public into substituting argument for action. At this rate, I wouldn't be surprised to see an undamaged Iranian passport discovered floating in the area of the Deepwater Horizon rig. Life as we know it is about to change forever. Thanks for listening.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Listen, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away.